home is where the heart is.
Once you get to those shared goals, you have some additional ones, then you could take turns.
Create a visual dream board or spreadsheet to track your goals.
And if it's not something that's important enough to you to be thinking about and really hungry for it, the likelihood of achieving it is very low.
Welcome back, freedom fighters. Today we're talking about one of the most powerful predictors of marital bliss. No, we're not talking about sex today. That is dreaming together about your financial future.
Did you know that 94% of couples who describe their marriage as quote unquote great discuss their money dreams together? Compare that to only 45% of couples in okay or in crisis relationships.
Coming up, we'll share 3 practical ways you and your spouse can start dreaming together no matter your current bank balance. Back before we get started, yesterday was Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to you and to all the other moms out there. Ladies, I hope you had a spectacular day. You deserve to be absolutely pampered. Men, if you don't know how to take care of... Yeah, public service announcement. If you don't know how to properly take care of your woman for Mother's Day, actually, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go talk to your wife, say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely spectacular, give me a grade for how Mother's Day went this year. And then, if it's not a 10, say, what could I do to absolutely knock your socks off for Mother's Day? And then get that tip from your wife.
Didn't say knock your panties off, but
yes,
that's okay.
If you knock her socks off, then the panties will follow. That is just the reality, right?
And then ladies, I want to encourage you to ask for what you want.
Yes.
It's not selfish to be clear. Clear is kind, and communication is the results that we get. So how important is it to just say, hey, this is what would be relaxing to me? And I don't think that was necessarily how I was raised. So it was harder for me to ask for those specific things. It felt selfish to just tell you. Plus there was a romantic side of me that just wanted you to come up with like a magical thing in your head. And over time you taught me you would say, hey, you know what I'd really love for Father's Day or my birthday? I'd love to do this. And I'd be like, oh, okay, well that's easy.
It never crossed your mind, did it?
To ask you or
what I wanted is not what you would have thought necessarily.
No, not necessarily. And now we make a practice of, even with our kids, like, hey, no, we don't let them form the entire day, but we'll usually say, what do you want for?
You can give us some input when you're the child.
What do you want for your birthday breakfast? How would you like to spend part of your day? And just asking those questions. And so I feel like it's such an important part of our marriage for reducing disappointment and expectations that are not healthy by having those conversations. And so, yes, men, please ask and get a rating and be open. And then women, please speak the truth.
Yes.
In love, for clarity.
And the reality is, to absolutely knock your wife's socks off on Mother's Day, you're probably going to need a little bit of money. So it actually ties in really well to what we're going to talk about today. So here's the bottom line, is that separate goal setting leads to conflicting priorities and unnecessary money fights. So the first tactic is for each of us to separately brainstorm your top 5 short-term and long-term financial goals, then compare lists. Let's go back to the early days of our marriage. Were you already thinking this?
Yes, and way back in the time machine to when we were early married. Would you say early married or when we started having kids, I guess?
Well, I mean,
even
going back to, I think the first couple of years of our marriage, my goal was that we would fully fund a Roth IRA. And I think when we got married,
that never crossed my mind.
Exactly. To max out, I think it was about $3,000, maybe $3,500 back in 1998, 2000 timeframe. But that was...
How does he remember this, people? That was 25 years ago.
I'm smarter than I look. I tell you all the time.
Okay.
But the bottom line is that was on my goal sheet, and it definitely was not on yours.
No. I was dreaming of, furniture and, pedicures, things that, especially for the home, I feel like for a woman, initially it's really setting up what feels like a home to us and not just a place to live. And we've moved a lot and we've had very limited budgets. And in fact, at one point when we were actually starting to create good income, you gave me both the feedback and the gift that it was now time to ask for professional help with decorating, which was great because I had always wanted to use someone who was more knowledgeable than me and could make things look really nice. My mom has that gift. And I don't so much. I'm learning through the years, but because our budget was tight, not only did I not spend a lot of money, I bought really cheap things. I also reused things over and over again. And I moved them around to different places and just made them work so that I wouldn't have to buy new things. And it often didn't look that great. So
no, actually, I think our houses, our apartments never looked trashy. And I was grateful for your just acceptance of where we were financially and the fact that you did your best to, even at first apartment on Witham Hill Drive in Corvallis, Oregon, that was maybe a 600 square foot apartment.
it was tiny.
1 bedroom, 1 bath, tiny little kitchen, little living area. Nothing special to write home about.
We loved it though.
But yeah,
It was
once again,
our
it
home.
really, the bottom line is home is where the heart is. And you can make a home about anywhere. And do we enjoy our nice home today better? Yes. But the bottom line is we didn't need it to be happy back in the early days of our
No, and I
marriage.
would trade it in a heartbeat for the relationships that are built in this
Absolutely.
home and the people that live here.
Yeah. So that's a great reminder to separately brainstorm, because when you come together, you're going to learn a lot about each other.
Right.
Just like if I said, hey, Beck, map out your perfect Mother's Day. And then I mapped out my perfect Father's Day. When we share those with each other, they're going to look drastically different. So this is really important. Action step is to narrow it down to 3 shared goals to pursue in the next 12 months.
Yep. Such an important thing to go from separate to together, to have that unified piece. And, even if once you get to those shared goals, you have some additional ones, then you could take turns. That's definitely what we did on some of our lists was, furniture and things were a big deal to me, and investing in the future was a big deal to you. And we needed and wanted to do both.
Yeah.
And so we worked our way off of the list, one step at a time.
It's kind of that Stephen Covey concept of win-win versus a compromise.
Or in the office, the win-win-win.
Win-win-win. Remind me how that goes.
I don't know. Michael Scott came up with it. I'd have to rewatch the episode, but he was doing some type of problem-solving, conflict resolution with Dwight
Which he's
and Jim.
spectacular at. Yeah.
And it was like a way to create a win-win-win. We'll be watching that episode
Good
next.
times. Yes.
But
Yes.
anyway, yes, you want to make a win-win. And that's why having the shared goals is such a big deal, because if you're two people running 2 different directions and you're not sharing any of that dreaming, any of that pursuit together, it really doesn't create a pathway for you to even work as a team. I didn't necessarily want to go all in on your goals, and you probably didn't want to go all in on my goals, but when they became our goals, now it's actually really fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. And by kind of maybe calling a compromise, but learning, okay, I'm going to jump on board your goals and you're going to jump behind my goals. We're going to maybe have to adjust them so that we can both accomplish what we want. It just made it more fun for us in the process.
Yeah, so that actually takes me back to how we resolved, and this isn't a conflict resolution episode, but going back to the way we handled Christmas trees early in our marriage, right?
Yeah.
So my family, we almost always had a real Christmas tree growing up. I loved it. It was a great memory. No, we didn't cut them down ourselves, but we usually went to the tree lot and picked them out and strung popcorn and all the memories. And in your family,
My family,
no Christmas tree, no
we
real
didn't even
Christmas
have a
trees.
Christmas tree. Yeah, never had a real Christmas tree.
Woo.
And didn't even have a Christmas tree in my parents' home until I was maybe graduated from high school. So yeah, basically we relied on the fake Christmas tree that my grandparents had that we would go over and help them set up every year as a tradition. But we didn't have a Christmas tree in our home.
So talk about 2 very, separate ends of the spectrum. And when we first got married, we did a lot of real trees, I think, initially because...
because our first year you were dead set on the real tree, and we lived in Oregon, and our Honda Accord nearly got stuck.
But we started with the real tree.
We did.
And then we had some bad experiences.
And that experience of nearly getting stuck, scratching up the roof of our car with the needles and branches of the real tree, caused me to instantly understand why my parents never had a real tree.
Oh, that is such a sad way to look at it. But yes, they were a bit of a headache. And then, we actually went through a number of years where we found a compromise. I don't even know when we started that, but...
Well, that happened, when we moved to Okinawa, Japan, it just, the real tree became less practical. And then we moved back to Oregon, which is, I don't know if it is the Christmas tree capital of the world, but certainly
You
there's
go cut
a
your
ton
own
of
down
them.
there,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
actually a really fun family
And we had
experience.
a couple of friends, the Elys and the Glasscocks. It was kind of an annual tradition.
It's great.
I still didn't like all the work that
It was
went
still a
into
headache.
it. Yep.
But it was a fun tradition.
And then there was,
the mess.
the year that
Oh,
the
man.
tree. It was probably the year that we moved into, or the home we built had probably space for like a 9 footer.
So we had 3 little boys under the age of 4.
and
probably.
in the middle of the night, I was a police officer. Hear a loud crash.
We had a very big
And,
tree for that house.
I grabbed the gun, clear the home, at least the upstairs, and then come down the stairs and see that the tree has crashed. Our tree stand did not hold it upright.
perfectly balanced.
Our fishing wire. I am not a good knot tire.
Did we even tie it up that year?
I
thought we
don't-
tied it up after that year, or as a result of that year.
Bottom line is we're on a tangent
We
here.
broke a lot of, we created a mess. We broke a lot of ornaments. It was very sad. So anyway, we compromised into the Kevin Christmas and the Bekah Christmas for a while, which meant every other year we each got our own way. So it was actually a really great way to do it for a while. And now you get to live with a fake tree every year, and you're so happy. And I buy a lot of air freshener.
There we go.
find
Because we live in
scented things.
Arizona and Christmas trees just don't make sense.
I have
the real one.
acquiesced at this point.
And we have like a 12-foot fake tree that's pretty darn gorgeous.
Yes, it
so.
is. Okay, so number 2, we definitely went on a tangent there for a little bit, was keeping goals hidden or conceptual makes it hard to stay motivated when obstacles arise. Whew, that's a loaded one.
All right,
Anything
for
you wanna
tactic
say about
2,
that? Yeah.
just create a visual dream board or spreadsheet to track your goals and celebrate milestones.
Boy, so important, even in the health practice that we have, talking to clients about visualizing where they're going, cutting out pictures of things that represent where they're going, writing themselves notes, putting it on the mirror, just having a way to look into their future and speak to their future self. So important. And when it comes to your finances, it's the same thing. If you have these concepts in the back of your head that are really far into the future, or you can't picture it with each other, it's going to be very hard to stay focused on it.
Yeah, it just some practical examples are, if instead of just saying, we want to take a tropical vacation, literally do the research to figure out what is the location or possible locations you want to go to. What's the cost going to be to get there? Are you going to fly coach? Are you going to fly first class? What type of resort or VRBO or whatever you're going to stay in.
What activities are going to do and who's going to go
so that
with
you can put some solid
it.
numbers behind this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other good examples just to make it very practical and concrete. The idea is it needs to be very
Maybe
specific.
it's a remodel for the family or
Yes.
something. So you have it drawn up and you have the plans and you know where you're going with it, or the car that you want to buy.
One of the, early on when you started our business, one of the goals that you had immediately, kind of right out of the gate, you had this abundance mindset of this wasn't just going to be extra money so I didn't have to do overtime. It was, we're going to create some impact with this. And so one of your early goals was we wanted to be able to fund a ultrasound machine for a pregnancy resource center. That was great because we've always been very, pro take care of the woman, take care of the baby. In our marriage, just values that we really believed in, but we had no idea what a ultrasound machine cost. So we had that on our list. And then one year we got a large tax return. We thought, oh, awesome. We're going to go fund this dream and have a ton of money left over. And the reality was it was by far the largest tax return we'd ever gotten. And we were able to fund the dream, and that was about it. The
I hadn't done my
ultrasound machine
research. Yeah.
cost about 5 times what we thought it would cost. So the cool thing is we were still able to do it. We had a tiny little bit left over, but as far as really realizing goals, it's important to be more dialed in with it.
Exactly. So your action step is to display your dream board somewhere you'll both see it daily. And imagine how much fun you could have with this. For some of you, it's going to be like you're going to put pictures on there. For some of you, it might be data that you gather. It just depends on your personality style. But imagine having a shared dream that is somewhere obvious. And if you have kids and a family, it's especially fun to do this kind of thing together.
And I think if you imagine blueprints, right? Because we're living in a house that we constructed over about a 2-year period of actual construction. We bought the property 2 years before we broke ground. We spent every Friday for probably 18 months in our builder's office doing the design and planning things out. But the fun thing was we had blueprints that we could totally visualize what the house was going to look like. And so as we were going through that building process, it was very fun and rewarding to know this is what we're working towards. So I think when you're talking about goals, having that type of, break it down to something where it literally, it's a blueprint for the ultrasound that you're going to buy for someone. It's a blueprint for the vacation that you're going to take. It's a blueprint for the retirement that you're going to have someday. Whatever it is, get it down to that, tiny little nitty gritty detail so that you can really visualize it.
That's really good, babe. Okay. Number 3 is casting a shared vision is not a one and done activity. Oh my goodness. So true, but an ongoing process. And that is absolutely true, right? So many of us will say something and we'll want to have it, but we don't revisit it. We don't talk about it. We don't think about it all the time. And if it's not something that's important enough to you to be thinking about and really hungry for it, the likelihood of achieving it is very low.
Yeah. So our third tactic is to schedule a quarterly money dream date to review progress and set new goals. So many of you, if you've listened to us for more than once or twice, you've probably heard us talk about our quarterly retreats. This syncs up very well to incorporate into your quarterly retreat. It's fun to kind of do a review of where you're at and also to start thinking about, okay, what's next for us? What are we dreaming about? For us, that includes increasing our giving or maybe redirecting some of the giving, making sure that the giving that we're doing is being used as wisely and having the impact that we want it to have. It's talking about, what's next for our kids, what's next for our marriage, what's our next projects that we're working on, how are we going to grow, how are we going to get better physically in our health and things like that.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to have that next step ahead of you so that, again, it's like structural tension. We talk about this again in our coaching business, that you want to be able to reach to that next level and have something that pulls you up to that next level. But once you get there, you want to be able to stretch again. Otherwise, you get complacent and you get settled. And so, one of the reasons that we do things quarterly is it breaks up our year. It allows us to reach for that next goal. And then when we get close to achieving it, we can stretch again. So we're not just settling and accepting something where, we're called to bigger and better things. And for us, we have a lot of our wish list now. So there's very few things on there that are really for us that we dream about. Now we're at the stage, imagine this, you guys. Imagine having your monthly dream date not even be about buying things for your own family anymore. Like if you were at a financial place where you could just be well taken care of, and now you do the monthly dream date about your giving and what you're going to do with that. And that's very much where we are now, where we're impatient for the next ministries and opportunities that we want to support. So we're creating income for that, and we're building into that with a lot of what we're dreaming about now. So it's really fun.
Honestly, we're trying to inspire all of you to join us on that mission of uncommon freedom. We talk about, reaching your potential and maximizing your impact. Yep. And for us, we have giving goals that are going to require 7 figures of a giving money, not just earning money.
Right.
We have ministries that we're bought into their vision that we want to be able to fund at 7-figure levels. So that's what this all is all about. We're blessed to drive nice cars, take some great vacations, and enjoy Mother's Day in a beautiful way. Yeah. But that's not just what this is about. It really is about the impact that we can have in the world.
Prosperity with a purpose, guys. That's what we're talking about here. It's what we stand for. We highly encourage you to build an uncommon freedom life so that you can start to give at an uncommon level and basically have ridiculous generosity. It's so much fun, and we want to invite you to that journey. So your action step is to book your first money date night for the next month, okay?
No later than June.
Yeah.
And real quick, just talking about this, I shared this when I was on Dave Ramsey's Entre Leadership. It was a quote. I wish I remember who I heard said this, but if you're kind of struggling with this whole money thing and still thinking that money is evil, remember, the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself is not. But if you don't think that money can buy happiness, then you haven't given enough away. I love that. Because as we have increased our giving, the joy that we get to experience in just having a massive impact in the world and ministries and just doing things in people's lives, the reports that we get on, hey, this is, this story was shared with permission, but this is the ultrasound of a baby whose mom was abortion minded, and she did our assessment. She came into our stork bus or whatever it might be, and she has since decided to keep this baby. And here's a 1-year-old photo of him. Things like that. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. So dreaming together is one of the best investments you can make in your marriage. And when you have shared goals, you can cheer each other on and hold each other accountable.
So pick a night this week to do some blue sky dreaming with your spouse. Dare to imagine what you could accomplish together, then take one small step in that direction.
Until next time, keep dreaming big together.